had a lot of successes and failures. I've learned more from the failures than the successes, but I've had the opportunity to be exposed. And in my travels, there's one common theme: the minority community is going backwards. I'm watching every other nationality, race come into this country and move forward. And I see the African American community specifically going backwards. Somewhere, somehow, somebody has to speak up and start changing that dynamic. And the only thing, there's two parts why the minority community is struggling: financial illiteracy and trust. I watch businesses open up in the minority communities all over the country, and it's not African American businesses. And being in business myself, I've learned a lot. I learned a lot from the failures. I learned more from the failures than the successes. And as you start to acquire wealth, there's a guilt that comes with it, and it's hard to explain. And you almost feel unworthy of what you have. And if I can leave other people with the hope and the opportunity to get a legacy, because legacy wealth is where the key is. So, if you're not passing wealth from generation to generation, which is not happening very often in our community, I think that'll prepare us for the future. I hope I answered the questions.
Yeah, that sounds great, yeah. I'll pause right there.
No estimate, no nothing? How do you work that?
Well,
We trust you.
Well, I trust you, or else I would have never went in.
$1 million.
I just want people to be successful. Are you on? I genuinely want, part of my job and what I do every day, and I say you're in business doing this, I'm a reader of body language, I'm a reader of character, and
You should be psychologists.
well, when you deal with people,
Yeah.
right, you got to know what you're dealing with in order to adjust to the situation that you're in, right? And it's so hard to meet good people often. I mean, there's a lot of dirt going on in this world. I'm just, that, I tell you, right? And you meet good people and they just need a chance. And you would have never thought I was going to, and I said, I sensed that you needed some advice. I'm sorry, I hope I'm not overstepping my bounds. I just want to help. To answer that question earlier, why do you want to do that, right?
Yeah.
I've learned it. Why not pass it on?
Why not share your secrets?
Why not pass it on? What's the point in dying with that wealth and nobody else? Because to me, that's the true legacy, right? How many people did you touch? What is that dash going to say? Right? What will that dash say when you're done? You know what I mean? Well, people show up from all over the country and say, you know what? Man, he did a good job for me. I just wanted to come. I'm going to come from across the country. I'm going to come from another country and pay my respects because, man, he helped me.
Yes.
That's a legacy. Does that make sense? And when you identify with good people like yourselves, you just kind of, I sense you need help. I read body language for a living, man. I don't know. You walk into a room, you got to read the body language because you can say the wrong thing to the wrong person, right? So I broke it down. I guess my thought process is a little different, huh? I guess that's good.
Awesome.
So the audience should, as I could understand, the audience should understand that, should expect to learn from you that you learned more from the failure than from the success.
Yes. I have learned more from the failures than the successes because growing up as an athlete and in the minority community and most communities, especially for people that were high school athletes, right? You learn to win, right? And I coached before and life is about winning. I'm sorry, it's about winning. I'm not in it to lose. If you're in it and you don't mind losing, then why the hell are you in it? That's just my philosophy. So, But, you know, we go to high school, we learn how to win, we play sports, we keep score, right? And then we get out of college or we get into real life and we forget to keep score on the most important thing that matters, and that's your finances, right? We just struggle through. You go to college, there's no college anywhere that I know of that's teaching anybody how to think about their own money, how to invest it, how to make it, how to keep it. You know, I had an entrepreneur come to me one time and said, man, I just earned my first $1 million, Mike. You know, I'm all excited. I guess he expected me to be excited for him. We just had a conversation the other day. And my first reaction was, that's great. How much of it did you keep? You know what I mean? And it was just, you know, and he reminded me of that just the other day. And it was just like, you know, it's because if you don't know, you don't know, right? And there's a lot of people that don't know, minority and otherwise. You know, I'm choosing to try to give that back to the community which I grew up in. I don't think I answered the question, did I?
No, you did better than answer it.
I've learned a lot along the way. You know, in sports, and I keep using sports analogies, I'm sorry, that's just the way I coach, that's the way, you know, I look at life. In sports, I can remember every loss and every reason why I lost, right? I don't remember the wins because I expected to win, right? Therefore, I learn more from the losses so I can make adjustments, right? If you think about your financial, if you look at it in sports, you know, you go in, I'm losing at the end of the first quarter. Okay, I'm going to go to the sideline. I'm going to make some adjustments, right? Damn it, those adjustments didn't work. I'm going to go in to the halftime. I'm going to make some more adjustments because I want to try to win. Well, in the financial community, in your personal finances, I don't think people have been taught how to make those adjustments, right? How to look at it, how to make a dollar holler, how to think about taxes and how they affect when you're spending and when you're buying, right? How to look at the tax breaks, how to ask the right questions to a tax accountant, right? I mean, how to ask the right questions to an attorney. Where would you learn that? I don't know. You don't learn it. How you learn it? So some of those things that I've learned, that's what I think I can pass on. What? I don't know. I think I get people excited too because I'm passionate. I think you can tell that. You could tell right on the arm if I don't care about it or I'm not in it, I'll sit there and I'm not engaged. It just, you know, if I think it's the right thing, I'm all in. I am all in. And dealing with some of the big companies I've dealt with, you know, I don't want to name names, but, you know, Fortune 100 corporations, right? Inside the executive level all the way down to the floor in the plants, right? You see how things work, you know. Part of my success was foundation in my parents. My mom was a visionary. She would teach us to dream, right? Dream about going to Africa. It was one of my dreams, to go to Africa, you know, and what it felt like, what it looked like. And then your whole life you spend trying to reach it to get there. So then my father exposed me to people. He had a construction business, part of my entrepreneurial background. And him, my grandfather had a construction business. And he exposed me to other entrepreneurs because that's what they were working for. And then not only did their commercial work, we did their residential work. So I was in their houses, I was in there, and I watched learn, right? And that was the key. It's like, man, they got this, they're doing it this way, they're doing it that way, and that intrigued me at an early age. And then the confidence came in because all of us lack confidence. We don't talk about it, we don't want to speak about it, that self-confidence, that self-doubt. It's in there, it's in the back of your brain. I've been talking to my kids about it since they were little. They don't want to hear it no more, but that self-doubt is in us. And my father sent me to Valley Forge Military Academy. That gave me the confidence and the leadership to overcome any obstacle. Just go for it, right? That was the confidence barrier. There's that little birdie still in your background saying, well, maybe doubt, self-doubt, you know what I mean? But if you don't believe in it, why should anybody else, right? So you got to go forward. So that's kind of how my background was shaped and what led me to the things that I'm doing today.
That's great. Yeah.
I just added that one in. I hope you don't mind.
That's perfect. Yeah.
What's the value of learning about money?
What's the value of learning about money? What can you do without money? We all aspire to an end goal, right? I mean, I think from the day most people start working and become an adult, when you get over that fairy tale and of graduating high school and you're going to conquer the world and think everything's rosy out there, and then real life sets in, right? And when real life sets in, you know, you start thinking. I used to think, how did my parents buy a house? How do you go about buying a house? How do you buy a car? How can they afford that? You know, look what I'm making. How do they get there? You know, how does that make sense, right? How do we get there, right? And you're thinking about retirement, or you should be thinking about retirement from the day you start working, right? And planning for it and adjusting and investing in it, you know. And nobody's teaching that. Nobody's teaching the how. Nobody taught me. I just was asked questions, you know. And, you know, one event that I got out of college, because college didn't, I'm going to just put it out there, college really doesn't teach you anything. You know, the process of college teaches you a lot. Out of the books and everything else, I didn't get much out of that. I was partying and doing what I was supposed to be doing. My coach had me sit in the front of the class. He made every football player sit in the front of the classroom because some of them were in trouble, we weren't getting good grades and things like that. That's the first time we sat in the front of the classroom. And just coincidentally, I had failed my first class ever. Just like, whoa, it was a stat. And have you ever been in a classroom and heard somebody talking and I just sat there, I didn't understand a thing they said, they might as well speak in Chinese, right? I just, you know, I understand. I sat through a whole semester. I still didn't understand a thing. I was the first class I was able to use a calculator, and I still couldn't get it right. I just like, you know, I was like, wow, we can use a calculator in here. This was back in the 70s. And I sat in front of the classroom. And I said, I'm not going to fail this again. Now I'm in the front. Usually I sit in the back. I raised my hand, and I asked a question. The rest of that class was spent answering that question because everybody else in the classroom thought they were speaking Chinese too. And that gave me the confidence not to be afraid to ask the question. Right? I'm not as dumb as I thought I was. And I've used that philosophy along the way. That's how I've learned. And I want to help other people overcome those fears, right? Because the fear of not learning, you're in a situation, you can go sit down with a banker, you can go anytime with a mortgage broker, you can go sit down with a stockbroker, right? But you don't know what questions to ask because you don't want to feel like you're coming across as dumb, right? We all have ego and pride. I don't want to feel like I'm stupid, right? But what can they do to you? Ask the question. Sometimes people talking, it goes right over your head. I'll stop them. I say, hey, you know, I'm sorry. I didn't understand that. I'm a little slow. Help me figure that one out. I hope I'm answering the questions.
What are a few common barriers to accumulating wealth? Is fear one of them?
What are a few common barriers to accumulating wealth?
Wealth, yes. Is fear one of them?
Fear is the biggest. Fear is the biggest barrier to creating wealth and moving forward in life in general. You know, fear will do one of three things. It'll either cripple you or make you stand still. In some cases, it'll make you go backwards. Or you'll have the courage to move forward in the midst of fear because I got fear, but I got enough confidence to keep moving forward. And in the wealth game, fear of asking the right question, And most people don't know how to make investments, but yet the stock market's booming every year. You look at the stock market over the last 30 years, it's been booming. Right? In the downtime, most people are trying to run out. I think we just had a lull in 2008 or 2009. Most people were taking money out. I was putting money in because the prices were down. You know, talking about fear ran them out. I'm like, now's the time to get in, you know, and it's just like, and I made even more wealth, you know, and it's just like, it's how do you approach it? How do you look at it, right? You know, I recommend some, you know, certain books. The book I recommend everybody's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. If you don't know anything, you're just starting out, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. To me, it changed your way of thinking about money, right? I don't know, I think I answered the question. Why do you say it's very good? I don't know.
What do you hear?
What was the question?
Okay.
Well, they actually wanted you to answer, come to my seminar and find out, but well, I'll get you to say that one time at the end, and maybe I'll cut that in once in a while.
Okay.
But that was it, man. Cool.
Okay. When did you first learn the importance of saving and money management?
When did I first learn the importance of saving and investing in money management?
Did anyone teach you?
No. I'll go back and tell a little bit of my story in starting my businesses. I started QPSI with $32,000 from a 401k plan. And just like most people, I couldn't get a loan anywhere. I was struggling to make payroll. I couldn't pay myself for years. You know, it was just a struggle. It was a constant struggle. But the thing that was different was I would invest every dime back into the business. And I still have that same philosophy today. We don't have a lot of debt. Don't take a lot of money out of the business. You know, we're self-sufficient. When the economy went bad, my business started investing in itself. Right? So nobody taught you. It was kind of a gut feeling. And, you know, people got to learn to follow their gut. Right? Trust it and move with it. Because your first instinct is usually right. And then, you know, I had wrote up business plans. I had all kinds of business models, financial models and stuff, and I'm going to the banks. Oh, I love what you've done. This is great. But, you know, you need a little bit more. What does that mean? So I finally asked the question. I said, well, give me a list of attorneys and accountants that work with you and you know, let me do that. So he gave me 3 accountants and 3 attorneys. So I picked one. They're both with me today, 20-some years later. One of them left the law firm, and he's now the in-house legal counsel in my right hand. The accountants I fired a few times along the way, but I'm still back with them. That was the learning process of volatility. If the grass is not green on the other side. Because they knew me. They knew how I thought. They knew how I wanted things done. They knew how I wanted buttoned up. You know, don't come to me with all that accounting jumbo mumbo. Talk to me about the dollars and cents. You know, that's your job, right? I need to understand enough of it to know that you're doing your job. Other than that, I don't need to know. I need to stay focused on the cash and where it's going. I spoke one time at my first speaking engagement was at my daughter's University of Cincinnati. And I learned a valuable lesson from that, right? I was speaking to seniors that were graduating about life after college. And I had never thought about it before, but as I was putting that presentation together, you know, when we were growing up, I bought my first stock when I got out of college. I got home, started a family. My first stock was Merck stock, right? Good stock, I still have it to today. You know, only because one of my salesmen that I was working with advised me to buy it. I didn't know what I was doing. It split a few times and made some money out of it. But my family didn't know we didn't have wealth. They didn't know I was living paycheck to paycheck because I learned and would read about the stock market, right? And back then, the stock market was a little more simpler, right? It was, you know, it was seasonal. It was about what was real. It wasn't about projected or, you know, a company can lose money and still have a great stock portfolio, right? Wasn't about that. So I use two stocks. I use Campbell Soup and I use Coca-Cola. And I would use them on a seasonal basis, buy when it's low and sell when it's high. And I kept that going. And that was the money for us to do vacations. That was the money for Christmas. And I never went in debt, right? And then the timing of using credit cards, right? I never went into debt. It was just, my kids thought we were doing it. I would take on a little bit of debt and I would have a plan to pay it off in 3 months. So it was just, and then these practices are working. And then I started reading books and it was like, that would verify everything that I was doing, right? And it was just like, that was the confidence. And it's like, all right, well, I don't know if this is right because I don't know who to ask, but it's working, right? And it makes sense. And then, as I fast forward to today, I'm watching it where, people are invested in making money. And in my circles, we talk about investments, we talk about stocks. In the minority community, it's almost taboo. People don't talk about it, right? And they complain, but they don't talk about it. Well, how are you going to learn if you don't talk about it? Did that answer the question?
Yeah.
Okay. You guys are laughing at me, so I'm
It's like a great we got going here. This is awesome.
As a business person, what lessons can you share with others that helped you along the way? As I think you just said.
As a business person, what lessons can I share
With others that
with others
helped you along the way.
that help me along the way? First and foremost, sign every check. Know every dollar that flows to every part of your business, right? Because somebody's got to be able to connect the dots as the business grows and you get people and things happen and processes in place and things like that, right? Nobody could ever pull the wool over your eyes. I mean, I think we're up to 1,500 employees or something like that right now. Nobody can pull the wool over my eyes. I know what this flow is supposed to be. I know what's to happen. I can hear a situation and know what it is because I watched the money flow. I signed the checks. I scrutinized the bills to understand who was doing what, how they thought, right? Know how your employees think about your money. How are they spending, right? Because I want them to spend every dollar like it's mine. That's the way I did when I worked for other people. I spend it like it was mine, right? I'm going to be tight, I'm be tight with a buck, and I'm going to make a dollar holler. And if your employees don't have that mindset, you're going to be hemorrhaging money, right? So you got to be able to follow the dollar. The second thing is learn to lose quickly. And I got this I was on a panel receiving an award a few years back with, I can't think of his name. He was from Camden, New Jersey. I think he won the Trump Award, the first, what's that show from Trump?
Apprentice.
The first Apprentice. He was a Rhodes Scholar. He actually grew up with my cousin. Can't remember his name. And he gave a speech about learning to lose quickly. And I've used that for quite a few years now. I guess it was about 15 years ago now. And what I mean by that, you could have something going bad and spend forever trying to fix it and it's still hemorrhaging. You go back to the sports analogy, and I've done this as a coach. I got so mad about the loss we just took and beat the team up about that loss. We carried that loss into the next game, right? And you may have lost some money in that deal, right? And it's like, oh, I'm going to do it, I'm going to fix it. Put it aside because you're not focusing your energy on moving forward. That would be the two key things. Follow the dollars and don't learn to lose quickly. Don't carry the loss into the next game.
Excellent. Yeah.
Do you need to have lots of money to save a little money?
So I need to have lots of money to save a little money. I think you need to start somewhere. And if you only start with $100, that's fine, and then build. But everybody has to start somewhere. Every company in the world started with nothing at some point. Every multi-billion-dollar organization was somebody sitting in a room somewhere without two nickels to rub together, with an idea, a dream, and some passion to get there. So, no, I don't. And I think I've heard a lot of people use that as an excuse. Oh, I need money to do this, They're looking for excuses not to move forward, right? You got to start somewhere. And you need to believe in yourself and go out there. And you know what? You're going to make mistakes. You're going to screw it up. You may lose every dime. Right? But, all right, what did I learn from that? All right, let me start over again. Right? And that's the crippling thing that we were talking about with fear. Right? So you got to, it doesn't take a lot to create wealth, but you need to start somewhere. And I recommend that you start as soon as possible. Right? It's never too late. The stock market's going up every day. Right? And the days that go down, people wonder why it goes back up, because somebody somewhere said, oh, the price is right now, let me go back in. That's why it goes up. People take profits, it goes down. Right? There's day traders. That's what makes the market go like this to that. They're just going there. Oh, it went up, they're going to make their profit and take it back. Then you got the long-term investors, right? They're like, okay, well, now's the time to jump in. And the day traders make this go volatility like this, and then the big boys make it go up. Because if it goes down a little bit, I'm going to go back in. Right? I mean, IPOs. Most people won't just say IPO. There was a recent one with, what's that knockoff to Amazon? What's the name they're over in? I own some of the stock. I can't think of the name of it. I don't know, but, look at Google, look at Amazon, look at, Amazon's not making money. The stock's doing well, right? Look at Facebook, get in on the IPOs. Heck, you can get in for $100. You can get in for $1,000. You can get in with $500. That $500 can turn into $5,000 in 2 years. So, I mean, what are you going to do with it? Spend it? Put it in the bank and collect 1%? I mean, you ain't winning anyway, so take the chance.
Exactly, yeah.
And if you want to build the wealth, you got to take chances. If you want something different, you got to do something different.
Exactly. That's really awesome.
What will the listening audience take away from your seminar?
What will the listening audience take away from my seminar? They will take away how to create a budget and have a plan. How to check that plan twice. How to keep score. The biggest keeping score is your net worth statement. I'll show you how to do a net worth statement. Right? Keep score. You got to keep score to know where you're going. How do you determine the wins and losses? Right? That's the biggest thing. How to think about taxes. How to think about spending. I mean, the African American community alone has $1.1 trillion in spending power. Right? How is that benefiting us? Imagine if everybody got aligned. Imagine the economic power that comes with alignment and trust, right? So I think you're going to take some nuggets away that are going to help you to build a financial legacy for your family. Make sense?
Very tough cut.
Why are you laughing at me, Nick?
This is valuable footage right here.
Do you really believe it? No,
Yeah.
do you guys?
Really, truly, because we're just learning here, and it's all, I have like 20 minutes of footage, and this is just a taste, but we pick, what you're saying and take the best out of it, and it hits home so much. So it's like things you don't hear from anywhere else, which is awesome.
Well, can you roll that real quick? I have a common sense approach to business. People complicate things too much. It's really not that simple. It's not that complicated. I've learned more in my 50s than I did in my 40s. I learned more in my 40s than I did in my 30s. I learned more in my 30s than I did in my 20s. And when I was in my 20s and teens, I thought I knew everything. Right? I'm just gotta put it out there. A lot of people have stopped their ability to grow. I was on the plane last night, and there was 10 ways to save on taxes from your home, right? And I just learned some things that I didn't know. There was tips in the USA Today on the money page, and it was just like, wow, because I always thought if I sold that house, I couldn't write off some of the improvements that I put into it, right? And that'll offset the margin that I'll make on the house. And so you never stop learning. If you're not learning more, one measurement of success, if you're not learning more, as you get older, you're doing something wrong. right? Or you're not seeking it out. Because the information's there every single day. Are you willing to make the investment? Is that?
Yeah, good closing. Yeah.
Oh, we're done?
Good point. Well, we got a lot. I mean, we don't want to give them too much, but
Well, that's the financial seminar stuff, right? But so how do I get more business stuff, right? And
yeah. Well, I mean, I think it applies to actually. It's kind of universal. The stuff that you talked about today.
okay. So like, if you're happy with it, I'm happy with it.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe I'll get you just saying like, I don't know if that even makes sense. Have them say like what they were like the. You can find out this. That's not there now. I don't like that. We'll cut that.
What's that?
Cool, man.
What? What? Oh, I didn't say those snippets that you wanted me to.
Yeah, I was thinking about cutting that out, but I might as well get that. What was that part that the? What was the exact
No,
word?
just like come to the seminar to
Come
find out.
You have it up still, just to get the word.
If you want to know more, come to my seminar and find out. Come to my workshop.
Okay, cool. I'll get you to say it again.
If you want to know more, come to my workshop and find out. You'll be excited.
Got it. Yeah. Cool. Good.
Do I want to talk about?
Yeah, while we're here.
There is a couple things. You know, the ultimate reason for doing this, right? I think the ultimate path to financial success is entrepreneurship. The process is designed to keep working people as working people, and you can get lucky and create some legacy wealth if you really, really work hard at it. But entrepreneurship, I think, is the key, because that employs people, that empowers you. So the real reason I'm doing this is I want to connect the financial institutions back to the minority community. We need to start having that conversation. They start investing in those communities, start getting some regentrification projects going in those communities. Because others come in and they start doing it. I don't see the minorities doing it in their own community. And there's programs out there. There's all kinds of funding out there. We just don't know how to go about getting it. And I think that's key to the future. We got to stop tearing down and start building up and creating some wealth. I mean, if you look, you know, other people come into our communities, other races, nationalities come in our communities, they open up stores. Those stores, my mom used to own a store like that in the neighborhood. You create hundreds of thousands of dollars of revenue. It's a nice profit. They send their kids to college. Their kids are going to college. They're not coming back to the community. The money's not coming back in the community. So without money going back into the community, it's not sustainable, because money makes the whole thing work. It's gotta, you know, people listen. You know, unfortunately, too much of our world is about money, but that's the world we live in. But it makes the whole thing work. And if it stops coming in and staying in, it stops working. And that's why we're at today. Okay, I'm done. Crazy?
That explains reality, yeah.
I don't know. I'm just talking up to not bad, man. I got a different approach to things. It's kind of weird, huh?
Yeah, it's called real talk.
Simplified.
Yeah.
Because you could hear a politician say that and you'd be like, huh? What did he just say? You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you saw it. You watched the video.
Yeah.
You saw those people stand up and talk, right?
Yeah, and then, yeah. Those people pay big money to go see a lot of these guys. And like,
You know, and then they're afraid to ask a question.
yeah.
I think they complicate it on purpose. It's kind of, I call it the attorney theory. You know, people complicate it on person. One, for self-value, they want to make themselves sound more important,
Yeah.
right? And that's good if you're talking here to here. But, you know, you need to be able to talk at all levels, right? And not to offend anybody, because I don't know. I didn't know. If I didn't start asking questions, I would have never understood it, right? So why not just talk plain English, man? You know, oh, the theory, what the hell are you talking about? You know,
Yeah.
get the stick out your ass.
Yeah.
I know y'all think I'm crazy.
A relief is what it is.
Well, I'm glad you can be on board with it, man. Any more snippets?
So is it similar for anyone can come in? Like,
Yeah.
that wants to-
Anybody else know?
cool.
It's not just minorities. I'm focused on minorities. I actually have a, you know, I don't want to